There's so much to talk about with Lamar Jackson, I think. He's someone who obviously has won an MVP. He's now about to be a free agent, could get tagged by the Ravens, very possibly will get tagged if he doesn't get a contract, but it's weird that he doesn't have one already. So let's talk about where he's at as a player and how much is he worth? How much would I be willing to pay him if I was the Baltimore Ravens? So first, let's start off with this. This is his Pro Football Focus grade, and I want to include passing and running because obviously, his skill set isn't just as a passer, but as a passer and as a runner of the football. And you see that, through his 5 years in the league, PFF has never been as high on Lamar as other people have been, as I have been even. His first season, I thought he played pretty well that year. They gave him a relatively low grade, but then, again, in 2019, it was undeniable how well he played. He still gets a grade over 90 that year. Past 2 years, not quite as impressive, but then last year, it seemed like they felt it was a return to form. He didn't quite have quite as good of a grade passing-wise as he did in 2019 and 2022, but still had a respectable 72.3 passing grade, and when you add on the 92.6 running grade, it made for a very impressive season by him. But the issue kind of these past 2 years has been less about how good he's been and more about the snaps, gotten hurt in back-to-back years. But I want to start off with some film, and I want to talk about the positives Lamar Jackson brings to a football team, because there are so many. The rushing ability is obviously the most known thing about him, so we'll start off there, where you see it's going to be a blocking concept where they're going to have Lamar run towards the left side of the screen. That's what they're doing here. Right when this play begins, it's well blocked by Baltimore, but you see that there's a little bit of a running lane kind of just straight down for Lamar. It didn't look like that's where he was initially trying to run, but he notices this, and watch him just kind of take off. Look at him pick up really just 12 yards, and it kind of felt pretty easy for Lamar to do it and for the Ravens to pick up those yards. The reality is, when Lamar Jackson and the Ravens rushing game is working, it doesn't just work, it works so easily. It just feels like it's something that is, very easy to accomplish. And that's kind of the value of Lamar in a lot of ways, is his running ability. Again, when he runs with the football, you don't have to waste a player, on a play, just giving the ball to somebody else. So therefore, you get an extra blocker, and it does make things a lot easier. You get situations like this where it's once again going to be a rush. You have, you see the blocking concept on your screen, and with, they actually aren't blocking everybody right there. They're leaving an edge rusher on the closer towards the top of the screen unblocked. But as you see, Lamar is able to, he fakes as though he's handing the ball off. So there kind of was someone paying attention to the edge rusher, right? You have the fake with the handoff. Edge rusher stays out wide. Lamar Jackson shoots through the gap, and now he's completely through that section of the field. And at this point, he is just so deadly. Watch him be able to pick up just a huge explosive play right there. And when you can get those explosives relatively consistently through the ground, it makes things so difficult to stop for a defense. And that's, again, part of the Lamar Jackson value. But I do want to be clear, Lamar Jackson is not a running back, right? He's not just someone who rushes with the football. And I sometimes think faults of the Baltimore Ravens offense kind of turn into faults of Lamar Jackson. People bring up, well, the passing game hasn't been overly successful, which is true, but at the same time, how much of that is his fault and how much of that is the fault of the Ravens never really putting a good receiver around him? Because I see plays like this, and he is capable of making some incredible throws. There's no denying that. This is an example where, okay, you see the route that he could look towards on this play. It's a route that could potentially get open further down the field right here, but, probably not, right? The safety will probably pick it up, or a corner will pick it up, and therefore it won't get open. However, when Lamar takes the snap, he's going to run this play action. He rolls out towards the top of the screen, and you see right here that Jaguars kind of screwed us up a little bit. Safety, Andre Cisco on that play moved too far in to cover Mark Andrews, which, listen, I get it. You got to pay extra attention to that guy, but because of this, someone else gets open. But this is a tough throw. I mean, yes, it's open, but Lamar Jackson has to throw this off balance. It's far down the field, and it's not like there's nobody in the area. If this is underthrown, this could be an interception. However, watch this, really just a perfect throw from Lamar Jackson. They're able to pick up, again, another big chunk play. And that's kind of one of the things that Lamar brings to the table is, you think about, okay, a quarterback who runs the football a lot, I think your natural reaction might be, are you going to get as much explosives? But you actually get more in that scenario. Teams play a lot of single safety deep coverages against the Ravens. You're kind of forced to. I mean, you can't really play two safety deep coverages, and that's another one of the benefits of Lamar is while teams are playing more and more two safety deep coverages, having a wrinkle in that and having a team that plays differently like the Baltimore Ravens do with Lamar Jackson is definitely just another thing that adds value and can create these situations. But again, going over here, this is another play I want to talk about. This is going to be, it's a two safety deep coverage. So, hey, they're playing two safeties deep here. And it's actually DeSean Jackson, who I feel like every year seemingly puts on a different uniform and catches one 50-plus yard touchdown and then isn't heard from for the rest of the year. Well, this is going to be a play with DeSean Jackson, and this is something I truly believe. I think if Lamar Jackson had the athleticism of Kirk Cousins, he would still be an NFL quarterback. I don't think that he relies on his running ability as much as some people believe him to. Now, again, obviously, I'm not saying that he would be an MVP quarterback if it wasn't for his athleticism. That's what elevates him, but I think he still belongs here just with his throwing ability, and this is going to be an example. I mean, look at how when this play begins, it's just a three-man rush, so that obviously helps things. But you see right here, it's a linebacker and a safety who are currently in position to cover DeSean Jackson. The issue, of course, Lamar is standing at his own 7-yard line or so. This is going to be a difficult throw to make, but watch him throw this, no exaggeration, over 60 yards down the field. Not to mention, he was standing on the hash marks on the bottom of the screen, and he throws it all the way towards the top of the screen. That is a ridiculous throw. I think people sometimes forget Lamar Jackson has a cannon of an arm. His arm strength is up there with some of the best quarterbacks in football. It really is. It's maybe a hair below Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, but it's not by much. I mean, he has a cannon of an arm that goes underlooked, and his athleticism is obviously amazing. We all know that. While there are criticisms that I think are fair in his game, I actually thought this year he kind of showed that those criticisms maybe aren't as fair. I think that, having just a better receiving core, he did look significantly better. This offense looked more complete this year, and I do think, if they re-sign him and keep this team and maybe add a receiver, this is a team that could potentially win a championship. But the issue, of course, is you're now paying him money. I created this algorithm last year, so it's worth mentioning that it's a bit out of date, but here's what we're looking at. This is how much you should spend on a quarterback to win a Super Bowl. That's the goal here, to get enough value to win a Super Bowl. That is not to get to the playoffs or even to get to 500, right? So this is not necessarily your pure value, but what your value would probably have to be to win a Super Bowl, which I equated to a 13-win team. So not necessarily winning a Super Bowl, but to be a Super Bowl caliber team, this is how much money you should spend on the quarterback position. For wins added, and we're just going to go down the list so you understand what exactly I'm talking about. 5.83 wins added would be, you could spend over $100 million on that. The reason why I put 5.83 is that is the highest PFF WAR I've seen given to a quarterback. That was Tom Brady 1 year. He had that much. So, if you can have a season like that, basically no price tag is too small. And this is obviously annually how much money you can spend. 5-win quarterback, sometimes the MVP will be around here. That's kind of where they are at, which you could spend $70 million a year on. But a 4-win quarterback, this is the average top 5 quarterback season. It's right around here, 4 wins. So that means that, $43.8 million, if Lamar is going to get 45 or 50 million, that actually might not be a bad contract, and I would say is a good contract in my opinion. Now, you could argue he hasn't been a top 5 quarterback for his entire career. He's had seasons where he's been kind of in that 3-win quarterback situation, which you can spend a lot less on if you're going to try and win a Super Bowl that way. And again, it's a little bit complex as to how this algorithm came into effect. If you search, how much can you pay a quarterback to, how much does it cost for a quarterback to win a Super Bowl, or how much can you pay for a quarterback and try and win a Super Bowl, and then Jackson Cougar Sports, it should come up. Not a great job by me coming up with a suggestion of what this search, but there you go. But basically, the main point here, I think, is that we've seen Lamar be a 4-win quarterback probably 2 out of his 5 years. I would say he was on that level. I would say so, of like the top 5 or at least fringe top 5 quarterback play, which means that, the cap's going to keep going up. This is already out of date, and probably 45 million would be, it probably around there, maybe even a little bit higher already. If you sign him for 5 years, by the end of that deal, if he is a 4-win quarterback, you are a team that can win a Super Bowl with the quarterback position. And honestly, the Ravens get so many other edges. I think they could afford to be a little bit behind in the quarterback position than, say, a Patrick Mahomes, who, consistently churns out 4 or 5 win quarterback seasons. To me, it is the right strategy when I've seen a guy who can have that elite quarterback play. If you can get elite quarterback play, it is just such a cheat code to allowing you to have a championship contending team. The other option is to try to get a quarterback who can get you over 2.3 wins and pay him no money. Those are kind of the two ways that the Ravens could go about it. My way, though, is I think you pay Lamar, and just maybe he won't be that 4 or 5 win quarterback guy every year, but he could be it, maybe every other year, and that would still put you in pretty good position is kind of the way I look at it. But that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.